What's happening, guys? I'm TechSource. Welcome to Setup Wars episode 216 laptop edition. We're gonna take a look at how people with laptops build their setup. I know there's a lot of people out there who only have laptops and would love some inspiration or maybe even tips on how they can improve their very own laptop setup. Well, you came to the right place. I'm also in a very good mood today, guys, so I'm gonna show off 10 setups instead of the usual 5. And if you guys like longer episodes like this, then make sure to slap the crap out of that like button to let me know. But yeah, with that said, sit back and relax because it's time for Setup Wars. In the sea of online content, there's a lot of websites out there that can take and store your information without you even knowing it. But guess what? You can actually swim under the radar using Surfshark VPN. You can stop websites from tracking your info and selling targeted ads to you. Plus, with Surfshark's HackLock ID protection, you'll get an alert every time some noob tries to break into your email. But I gotta say, one of my favorite features of Surfshark VPN is that you can see content that is not available in your area. I'm obsessed with the show Family Guy, and for some reason not clear to mankind, it's not available in the US. So what I do is I log into Surfshark, change my location to any of the following supported countries, and voila, I now have access to Family Guy. So if you want both protection and freedom online while helping support the channel, then click the link down below and use the code TechSource, because not only will you get 83% off the regular price, but you also get 3 months of service for free. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. Seriously, try it out for yourself. Kicking off the episode, we have Anthony from the US and his super clean, mostly productive setup that he built on top of the sit and stand IKEA Beckhand desk. It's being powered by a 13-inch Asus ZenBook that he has hooked up to a 24-inch AOC monitor. I love the stand that he's using for the laptop. Not only does it provide a comfortable viewing angle, but he can also reach in and type on it whenever he wants. We got the popular RK61 keyboard paired with the Logitech M705 mouse, but he also uses a wireless numpad. I actually have one myself, and I personally think it's the best companion to any 60% keyboard because you can still have an awesome compact keyboard while having access to a numpad if you're working with numbers. Once you're done using it, just tuck it away in your drawer. For audio, Anthony's using the same creative Pebble speakers I gave Arthur for season 5 of Setup Makeover. I've actually heard these in person and they sound really good. It also fits in nicely with the Gurton tabletop. Aside from the speakers, he also has a pair of Sony headphones hanging from the pegboard on the side. I'm starting to see a lot of pegboards on this show for some reason. Maybe it's getting really popular. Technically, this is a dual system setup since Anthony also uses the Zotac Z-Box mini PC. He uses a laptop mostly for work, while the Z-Box is for casual gaming. Wires also look like it's under control thanks to the cable net under the desk and a few zip ties. Overall, I think Anthony did a fine job with the decoration and design of his setup. Everything's nicely organized and there's a nice balance of modern and minimalism. Thank you, Anthony, for entering. Up next is Aaron from the Netherlands and his super compact gaming and productivity setup that's being powered by his 15-inch Asus ROG Strix gaming laptop. He's got that hooked up to a 22-inch AOC monitor in vertical mode, and for peripherals, we got the Logitech G Pro keyboard and ROG Gladius 2 mouse. Now for audio, he's using the Audio Engine A2 Plus speakers and the Logitech G Pro headset, but he also has a Google Home speaker that he attached to the wall. Pretty cool placement, actually. What doesn't have a pretty cool placement is the webcam. I feel like it's way too high up there. Wouldn't it make more sense being on top of your laptop instead? That way people in your Zoom meetings aren't looking at the tip of your head. I can't help but feel like everything is really cluttered together, and that's mostly due to the design of the desk. You have this built-in drawer on the left side that pushes you to the right. So now you're forced to move everything on the desk to the right so it's within reach. There's a lot of empty space on the left side that can be utilized, and I also feel like the vertical monitor doesn't really make sense for the type of work you do. You didn't mention anything about coding or graphic design where a vertical monitor would make more sense. Since you already have a monitor arm, you can tilt it right above your laptop and remove the laptop mount to give you more space up top. And finally, I thought the RGB bulb you have hanging from the top was pretty clever, but it seems very distracting at the same time. Maybe pick a color that isn't too harsh on the eyes. Oh yeah, the cable management. I'm not sure what's going on down here, to be honest, but it could definitely use some extra attention. Since your setup is in the corner, you can reposition a power brick on the right side of your desk. That way the cables aren't visible from the bottom. That's all I got for this setup. Definitely lots of room for improvement. Thank you, Erin, for entering. At number 3 is Galio from the Philippines. We have ourselves a little bit of everything, from editing to graphic design and some gaming. So his layout is a little different compared to the other setups. He has his 17-inch ROG laptop right in the center with a 49-inch smart TV mounted against the wall. So he uses the laptop as the main display while the TV is secondary. Most laptop owners usually just tuck away the laptop and use it mainly to just power the setup. But in Galio's case, the laptop is part of the setup. From a functionality standpoint, I can see this setup working really well. However, I probably would have mounted a TV a little higher just so it's not being blocked off by the laptop. Or better yet, you could have left the laptop on the mouse pad instead of using a stand. I'm also a little worried about the mouse space you have. Other than those minor gripes, I'm really digging this layout. I think there's definitely some potential over here. Thanks for entering. Moving right along, we have Mohsin from Germany and his custom setup that he built using 2 sidewalk sign stands and 1 coffee table. Talk about ingenuity. The setup is used for mostly productivity because he does a lot of photo and video editing along with graphic and web designing, which explains why he has a 27-inch Samsung monitor mounted against the desk. The setup is being powered by a 15-inch Acer Aspire 5 laptop that's sitting on a stand, and then for peripherals, he went wireless. We got the Logitech K400 keyboard and the M28 mouse. The only audio source for the setup is the Bluetooth speaker that he has in the center, and that's about it really, other than a printer on the left and some fake plants. One thing I can recommend for your setup to maintain that minimalistic theme you're going for is some storage. I mentioned this in my dream setup video, but there are these tiny storage containers that you can stick under your desk. They don't take up a lot of space, but at the same time, you can store small accessories in them. You can store your AirPods in there, portable chargers, SD card readers, anything really that you want convenient access to while you're using your setup. I can see that you did a fine job with the cable management as well. Hooking up all the cables to a power strip you attached under the desk will help minimize cable clutter from everywhere else in the setup. A really clean and minimalistic laptop setup. Thank you, Mohsin, for entering. He also runs a tech channel on YouTube, by the way, so make sure to check him out and tell him TechSource sent you. Coming in at the halfway point is Faze from the US and a dual setup for gaming and productivity. Now, this is kind of cheating since he does have a desktop PC as well, but I'm going to include it anyways because I think it looks really cool. So Faze is using the black Rosy gaming desk. It's the same one I used for the Venom setup I created for season 2. It comes with this giant mouse pad that covers the entire surface, and you got 3 cutouts near the back for cable management, which worked out really well for his layout since he has 3 devices. The device powering the setup looks to be the Acer Nitro 5 laptop. However, he swaps to his custom PC when he wants to game. Both PCs are hooked up to his 27-inch Acer monitor that's mounted against the desk. He's also using the Corsair K70 keyboard with the M65 Elite mouse. However, that extra mouse pad was a little unnecessary considering the desk itself is practically a giant mouse pad. And then we have his audio gear, which consists of the HyperX Cloud Revolver S headset and a Fifine microphone. But he also has a giant Sony Home audio system underneath the desk, which I'm sure doubles as a footrest. This setup definitely has a nice balance of functionality and aesthetics with a little bit of personality. I think Faze did a great job overall with the execution. There isn't any unused space, but at the same time, nothing is cluttered. Well done, and thank you for entering. This next setup from Rain takes the Creative Award because this is the first time I've seen someone position their laptop on the side like that to be used as a vertical monitor. I love how he's able to align it so well with his main display. From a practicality standpoint, it doesn't make much sense since it renders the laptop unusable, but if you have a keyboard and mouse already, then it won't make much of a difference. It looks like the USB ports are on the left side of the laptop anyways, so we can still plug things in without having to move the laptop. He kept everything else on the desk very clean and minimal. He also hung his headphones on the wall, and he managed his cables with an odd method. He wrapped the cables with a Velcro strap and attached it to a Velcro strip. Interesting, but hey, as long as it works, go for it. I also like the implementation of the whiteboard against the wall. He uses it to add a bit of art to his setup. He's also an art student, so he can actually draw some pretty cool stuff on there and change it up often. A very refreshing setup. Thank you, Rain, for entering. Up next is Rens from the Netherlands and his awesome music production setup. He likes making music with FL Studio, and this is the setup that makes it happen. He's rocking a similar layout like Galio setup with the laptop right in front of his larger display, but it's positioned perfectly so it's not blocking it off. This way he's also able to use the laptop as well. The setup is sandwiched by two hefty Yamaha HS8 speakers that he was smart enough to put on stands to avoid taking up extra space on the desk, and putting the speakers at ear level. He also hooked up his audio interface under the desk in the back. He definitely knows what he's doing here. Also, the way he mounted his secondary monitor deserves some recognition. Since you can't typically clamp a normal monitor arm on this type of desk, he found an alternate way of doing this. He took the grommet approach and he drilled a hole near the back, and he even cut out a small hole to run the cable through. That is big brain moves over here. This IKEA Mickey desk, while aesthetically pleasing, has a lot of limitations, but that didn't stop Renz from finding alternatives to create this awesome music production setup. Thank you for entering. Changing up the pace a bit, we have our very first laptop-powered ultra-wide setup from Sasha, who resides in Germany. He's using a 34-inch ultrawide from MSI that he hooked up to his beefy Alienware 51AIM gaming laptop that has a dedicated cooler underneath, and probably for good reason, because we got the 9900K in here with an RTX 2080. Damn. So in this type of configuration, Sasha doesn't use the laptop for anything other than powering the setup, since it's further away from him and the screen is usually off. I've noticed when laptops don't offer any type of functionality in setups, most people just close the lid and store it on a laptop stand, or they hide it from sight. But Sasha kept his in the setup because it actually contributes aesthetically, not to mention it balances well with his headset on the left side. So if you have a laptop setup, you gotta ask yourself, should I hide it from view or should I keep it in plain sight? It all comes down to how the laptop contributes to your setup, whether it's functionality or purely for aesthetics. For peripherals, we got the Logitech G915 keyboard and the G502 mouse, finishing off with a pair of studio monitors from Swissonic. I like these RGB spheres that he also added in the setup to add a bit of soft lighting, and the posters on the wall add a bit of personalization as well. Overall, really great work with this laptop setup. Thank you for entering. Thomas is up next from Canada and his awesome man cave that he built from scratch. So a little bit of backstory for this one. This room was more cluttered before because he used to hoard a lot of his stuff. Well, after watching Setup Wars and my cable management guide, he was inspired to clean it all up and build something new. Believe it or not, but this entire setup was built on a budget. A lot of the stuff he bought secondhand or already owned before. This entire room is not only a gaming den, but it's also a place where Thomas can train his students for boxing, MMA, and kickboxing. Alrighty then, so the main setup is powered by his MSI GT80 gaming laptop, which is then hooked up to his 65-inch 4K TV up top. At this point, you guys are probably wondering, how the hell does he use the setup since he doesn't have a chair and the TV is mounted too high up? Well, it's actually a couch gaming laptop setup. There's a full pull-out couch on the opposite side where he kicks back and uses the setup remotely with the wireless keyboard and mouse, and of course Netflix and chilling with a lucky lady. Thomas says he was quite the gamer in the earlier years, but now he's more of a retired gamer and mostly uses the laptop to watch videos and movies from the couch. But he does host LAN parties quite a bit to ignite that old flame he once had. Taking a look at his entire wall shelf filled with games, I can say with confidence that he wasn't kidding. Also, is it only me, or is it satisfying to see that all the shelves are filled up perfectly without any empty spaces in there? I can also see that Thomas is a man of culture as well. He is a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z. I think if we met in person, we would be best buddies. Even though the concept of the setup is really simple, Thomas spiced it up really well with some art and lighting. I absolutely love the nanoleaf placement. It highlights and focuses your attention to the TV, and he kept everything so organized and symmetrical. There's something about how he organized those consoles underneath that just satisfies my OCD. Well done on a creative and clean couch gaming laptop setup. Thank you for entering, Thomas. Last but not least is Vincent from Montreal, Canada, and a super clean and minimalistic laptop setup. I'm absolutely loving that modern industrial theme that he was going for. We got that brick wall and the wooden accents for that industrial look, combined with a white tabletop for a bit of a modern twist. I like it. We have a 27-inch Acer monitor hooked up to a dual monitor arm that's also holding up his Lenovo ThinkBook laptop. The setup even has a bit of vintage touch to it because of the typewriter style keyboard and the wrist rest that he's using. Now this keyboard isn't wireless as it seems. He actually drilled a hole in the mouse pad and the desk to pass through the cables. Such a clean job. I also love how the speakers kind of blend in with the background. Nothing in this setup really sticks out or is obtrusive. I feel like everything works really well together. He even added a bit of plantation and some books for a complete look. When you look at it, it's such a simple setup, but yet it's very effective. I feel like this setup is the perfect representation of less is more. Thank you, Vincent, for entering. Alrighty, that will do it for this episode. As always, let me know in the comment section below which of these was your favorite. I know there's a lot to choose from since we went over 10 awesome laptop setups, so take your time. If you're watching this video and you have a really cool laptop setup to share with the world or perhaps inspire others who have laptop setups, then consider participating on the show. Click the video link down below to learn how to enter. Also, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure to smack that like button and subscribe if you're new here, because I host Setup Wars every single Monday. I love you beautiful forehead lines, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Peace.